My gosh, episode 29 of Apothecary Diaries. This writer's cooking right now. My gosh, this writer is cooking. This episode felt like it was all over the place, but at the same time, I'm constantly trying to figure out, okay, what is interweaved here? This writer likes to make a bunch of little stories, and at some point, it all kind of comes together. But man, this episode, the Envoys, the whole thing with the moon goddess, yeah, actually it being an aspect of them wanting to have superiority over the beauty of others, like everything that I really had preconceptions about in the previous episodes seems to be kind of being flipped on its head. It does seem like they're after the Emperor. It does technically go into the earlier on theories about the idea that it seems like these Envoys might be after the Concubines to try to, insert themselves as the choice for the Emperor. They're trying to dominate here. They're trying to dominate here. Then we're getting to everything about Mamao and, her making medicine in the rear palace, how it's not allowed because it has to be males, getting back into the eunuchs. There's like so much stuff that they're creating in this episode, and I don't know where to start. So let's just do like usual and start from the very beginning. And yes, it is the setup for this moon goddess dance. The whole thing with the madam before, which was kind of surprising that it ended up being what it was. My whole thing that I was talking about with the previous episode was I was frustrated because I'm like, why don't you just stick her in front of them? They're looking for this moon goddess. Why would you not just stick her out there? The assumption there was that, yes, the grandfather seen the madam dance, and so they just need to see her. They were going to know that she was going to be an old lady. But no, it does seem like this is an actual legend, which that part, I don't know why I didn't really gather. Yes, early on with the episode, Mama was talking about how, yes, rumors kind of get spread. They get a little conflated there. All these myths from the past probably were just somebody kind of blowing up the story over time. So yes, it does seem like what I didn't really gather there from the previous episode was that they're looking for a legend. They're looking for a goddess. They're looking for something of their legends, this goddess of their legends. And so, yes, it has to look young. It's not going to be something conformed to the aspects of human. I thought that they were looking for a human, is really what it is. They were looking for a legend. They were looking for a goddess. And so, yes, that makes sense now. It all clicks and makes sense in my brain now. I don't know if probably some people like caught that, or maybe people that were reading the novel series are like, what the hell are you talking about, Andrew? It's just a legend. It's not necessarily something human. So yes, it's them seeing the moths, which I was right. I got that part right. At least I got one part right, that it was going to be the moths. But yes, these moths that apparently glow to the moonlight. I thought, based on what they were saying with the legend, they were going to be hitting the torches and then burning down, because I seem to remember at some point they were saying these pearls were falling, not that they were glowing around her. So if they're glowing around her, then it makes sense that there are these moths that actually glow with the moonlight. So yes, Shishui helps her out. I like the fact that she's like, I have something I need you to help me with. She's like, is it something bad? She's like, with something bad. I did like the little cute little insight in there, and the idea that, yes, it seems like her whole thing for being super friends with Zalan is because they're so friendly. Like, these two girls are just so friendly, which sucks because in a cutthroat world like the Rear Palace, these two, which are too pure and kind, should not exist here. They did get a little bit into Zalan actually going to do the classes. So it looks like Jinshi actually followed through with that. They're going to be doing the classes, so Zalan's going to join with that. But I digress. Getting back to the whole performance itself, this is where things got really interesting. Them actually having this banquet being held, and them actually having this performance, which was, again, in these ruins of the past civilization that was there. But this was interesting because it actually gets into a little bit into these actual envoys, because they allowed the males to come back there, these special officers to come back there. They allowed the emperor came back there, obviously, and then you had the envoy there along with the concubines. Now, the interesting thing is that the envoys left their blinds open. Typically, when they come to an event like this, they don't want to show off or whatever, so everybody kind of keeps equal, so all the concubines were keeping closed, and they all came there. They're not presenting themselves to the emperor, they're coming there for that performance. And so to have the envoys sitting there, boldly showing themselves, they want attention. They're there for attention. Again, during the kind of how this all plays out, it does seem like these girls are after the emperor. Now, it was odd because it seems like one of them was trying to get the attention of the brother, not necessarily the emperor. So it kind of made me believe that either they were trying to look into what's happening with the brother, or specifically the two of them as a pair, or at least what Mama was kind of coming to conclusion for, is the pair of envoys are trying to capture the emperor and his brother. That's the kind of oddity there that makes me kind of question if this is playing out like what Mama thinks, that these two were after them. That it could mean that there was a confident one and there was a quiet one. It could mean that the confident one was the one that was supposed to get with the brother, and the quiet one is trying to get the attention of the emperor, and this could be all play. It could be a kind of the opposite thing here, where the quiet one is actually the one that's kind of the ringleader. It does seem like she's keeping her in check, so it does seem like she has some control over her. But it was interesting that, yes, we're laying out that these two are confident. They're putting themselves out there. Yes, much to the dislike of some certain lady in waiting. They're putting themselves out there. And then, yes, having her come out there to the emperor and say, they're bored there. Coming out to the emperor there, standing in front of him and saying, it's sad that your brother couldn't make it here. I wanted to see him. And hey, it's sad to kind of be separated. Let's get together here. Like, let's not be separated. Let's spend time with each other. And then eventually having the quiet one come in there and say, look, we're kind of interrupting something here. Let's go back over here and sit down. It was a bold move. There wasn't supposed to be this interaction kind of pre-set up. They're kind of stepping out of line of what they were already pre-establishing this event for. So it was kind of again, very super bold, very super bold, but super interesting that it kind of hints and confirms the idea these envoys are after the emperor. They're looking to jump in front of line here. I mean, later on, we get like a full breakdown and a re-update on every one of the concubines. These girls, again, to the whole thing with all the synths that were coming in with the envoy, it seems like they're trying to knock off the other concubines and get in that position. It's very interesting. But there was another thing that was hinted here during this scene, and it was when Mama was talking about the cousins being very much so like twins. Now, yes, this goes back to the whole thing, the story that Goshun told. My thing there was that I was curious if the story was going to be about Goshun's daughters or if it was going to be about somebody else. And my prediction there with the story was not so much that it was about his daughters, but it was probably about something else that included somebody coming into to see the daughters. That there was a guest that came in and snuck in there to see the daughters and manipulated them in some way. Now, with Mama bringing that story up again, it does make me start to kind of question if this is on purpose. Is the writer purposely saying, don't forget about Goshun's story, and oh, by the way, they look like each other? Because yes, that was the oddity that I had with them looking like each other, even though they were cousins. I was thinking that, yeah, there's a possibility they're actually sisters. Now, if we connect it to Goshun's story, then that changes everything. And again, Mao did point out the fact that, yeah, it seems like he's trying to keep something a secret here. He's manipulating the story so they don't catch on who he's talking about. And that could be the case. Now, the way that I can connect to these two is that, yes, what did they bring when they came here? They brought mirrors. This envoy brought a lot of mirrors. And so what I'm thinking Goshun's talking about here is that these envoys came here and they had individuals watching them. And then at some point they snuck out and then they had more people watch them. And then at some point, something happened. Not that they had to get pregnant, something happened. One of them disappeared again. And so all that's really happening here, this story that Goshun is telling, the only thing that actually is true and actually applies to what's currently happening is that these two envoys were supposed to be in this one room. They were being watched. One got out. They added more people to watch them. And then one got out again. I think that's the only thing that is actually true in Goshun's story, and he's just trying to figure out how it could happen. And again, since they have a lot of really nice and really big mirrors, this can happen a lot. Now again, it can still be a story about way off where the envoys came from. It could be a story about their past, but still, it is very interesting. And that could kind of tie into possibly something that happened that will make these envoys kind of important. That this story is about something that happened in their past. Anyways, though, because they do believe a lot in things like, again, this goddess. They could believe in an immortal that has impregnated one of them. And that could mean that these two envoys are important somehow. And Goshun is trying to disprove it because it's making them more important than they should be. But we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, it's super sus that Mama was just randomly bringing that up again. They look like twins. They could be in that story. I mean, it was hinting at that with the idea of suddenly Goshun is talking about two twins that look identical. And oh, by the way, we suddenly have the appearance of two envoys that look very much similar. But we'll see. But yeah, it kind of keeps hitting on the idea that these two are not impressed by what they're seeing. And again, is technically heavily implying the idea that two of them want to be impressed somehow and they feel themselves superior to anything else. Superior to the other concubines, yada, yada, yada. And so yes, when they go to leave, Mamo springs her trap. Jinshi comes out there looking all beautiful, doing his performance. unclothed from a black cloth, appearing out of nowhere, moths everywhere, then disappears, and then Mao Mao's just like, shh, the moon goddess, and then walks away. Very, very interesting. Again, they were super shocked by it. So this does solidify that this wasn't them looking for this old lady, which I thought that it was going to be the case. They're looking for a legend. They're looking for a myth. This spiritual being, this goddess, really is what it is. And again, it does make sense to how shocked they were. Now, it could be more grounded in reality if we find out there's some sort of connection with the madam and these individuals. That this grandfather, yes, knew the madam, like, personally, and they're looking for her. I don't know. We'll see, though. But yeah, as they were leaving, Alia was talking about the fact that she believed that the emperor wanted them. He looked like he wanted them right there. Again, they're after the emperor. But yeah, after the whole event, Jinshi comes in there. He's all wet. I'm so soaking wet. You're forgetting about me. You're not giving me any credit. She's like, oh gosh, he can't do this himself. I'll handle it. Jeez. But yeah, it was interesting that after everything that unfolded, that again, these two wanted to show that they were the most beautiful. They stepped up there confidently. They're obviously trying to get the emperor's attention. And again, there's a lot of theories so far building up that this envoy is trying to knock off these other concubines, if it's connected. And then right here, it shows a brief shot of one of them, and she's looking at a box and saying, fine then. So I'm curious what's in the box. What's in the box? Is it going to be some sort of poison? Are they gonna get a little bit more risque? Are they gonna be doing something that they shouldn't be doing? We'll see. But yeah, following this is where pretty much Mao Mao, being bored, is thinking about literally everything that we've brought up so far. She's bringing up the incense, the oils, how that whole issue's still happening, that they brought in all of this stuff that could be turned into a poison, how they're getting rid of all the poisons. She's wondering if the envoys are behind it. And even Mao Mao is getting into the conclusion that I have, that there's a possibility that these envoys are trying to knock off the other concubines in order to put themselves in that position. But now the way that she puts it was almost like because they've seen this moon goddess, that it's bothering them. Like they're trying to land this position in the concubines and they feel like they are superior to them. But now they've seen this goddess, their pride is destroyed and now they have something else to worry about. It's almost like it's playing it out as if they had so much confidence coming in here, they can easily take down these other concubines. They'll get a spot in there. They're going to get in that big four. They're going to get in that top position. But now that they've seen this one beautiful thing, it's almost like it's the region itself, the empire itself saying, we have other beauties. You're not that beautiful. We have other beauties here. We have this goddess. And that would be something that they would probably want to hunt down if they can find out where she's at. This is this thing that will trump us and take over this position that we're trying to get into. It kind of seems that's how Mao Mao was saying it. It's very interesting. But yeah, that's when Mao Mao is kind of breaking down all the concubines, which I think pretty much everything here is just recap. That yeah, Lalin right now is probably the one that has the most familial power. Like their family is the strongest. It's somebody that used to be retainer for the previous emperor, is in a really strong position now. And yes, that apparently the emperor is visiting him regularly, but it doesn't seem like he has any passion for Lalin, which I think I've gathered that so far. He visits her kind of out of obligation, but it doesn't seem like he has much, care for her. And yes, that does play into what they've kind of keep establishing. And they talk about it again with Li Shu. He doesn't like them unless they're voluptuous. Like these petite girls, he doesn't care much about them. So that's kind of makes sense there. Plus, it also doesn't seem like Lalin, so far, it doesn't seem like Lalin's a very likable person. She doesn't seem like she's... I mean, it does show a brief moment where he's visiting with her and she's laughing. So it does seem like she has personality. Getting into Li Hua again, that she has probably the second in terms of familial power. That, yes, they're maternally related to the emperor himself. And that she has no hunger for power, but she fell ill. But now she's, being visited by the emperor regularly. Li Shu's family is building up. But then again, she doesn't have the body for it. Specifically, they're saying that even after Ado left, he hasn't laid a hand on her. Like, he just is not... He's not interested in young little girls. Which, yeah, was kind of a nice thing that we kind of noticed with the last season was like, oh, wow, this girl's like super young and she's brought in here. Like the previous emperor didn't seem like he touched her either. But now he's bringing her in again. Is he going to do something to her? Nope. He's just doing it out of obligation and he's not even touching her. Which sucks because I think they hinted at with the previous season that he's not even visiting her. Like, not even like entertaining her. Like, not putting aside whether he's touching her or not, he's not even visiting her, not even entertaining her, which it sucks because she's just stuck there. She's just sitting in this room, just doing nothing with these nasty lady-in-waitings. And yes, of course, Gokyo is winning. Right now, Gokyo, of course, is winning, which when she started talking about Gokyo, I'm like, yeah, technically they are bringing up Gokyo again, how she is literally in the lead right now, and how many times her life has been put in danger. And it is technically flagging over and over again, something's going to happen to Gokyo. I really do think at this point, something's going to happen, and it really does suck that she's already had one child, and she's already pregnant with another child. It could be a son, and that's going to make it even more dangerous if it is a son. Which is obviously their goal. But yes, 2 attempts have been made at her life. One technically wasn't. I think the one was actually after Lishu. And so, but she has been nearly poisoned before. And yes, this was one that they don't really have a culprit for it, but they are assuming who that possibly was, which is the one that we got into here recently. But interesting that, yes, in the brainstorming that Mama's doing here, she's acknowledging that, yes, according to what the assumption is from Hanyeon, I think it was, that yes, this had to have something to do with this medium rank concubine, but she's also going, well, who taught her about this? And it's bringing up Sure again. We haven't talked about Sure in a long time. It was like after all that stuff that happened with her and Jinshi, it was like she just kind of disappeared. She kind of just disappeared, and we just haven't really been talked about the whole situation. Back there, it didn't feel wrapped up. Even back then, it was like, this is not over. Like, you just can't have this character just kind of disappear out of nowhere. So it is interesting that she's bringing that up again. Not really sure what the hell's going on with that. She was a very crafty person, like, just right after Mao Mao. Like, Mao Mao wanted so badly, they learned a lot of stuff from her. But again, this is what I was talking about earlier, whereas, like, is bringing in all this stuff again, it's kind of breaking down the concubines, it's getting really into, like, the positions of power, all of them, having the envoys coming in there, trying to take that position. It's like, it's cooking, this writer's cooking something. But no, if that wasn't enough, we have to go into the clinic and learn about the clinic and get into the fact that, yes, you know, women aren't supposed to be making medicines. Mao Mao's making medicines. We all know that. They're turning a blind eye to it. Jinshi's there. He's like, don't tell anybody that you like medicine. And this clinic nurse lady, she's randomly out of nowhere. You smell like medicine. That girl makes medicine, doesn't he? Like, wow, this is going to get bad. But no, I like this. The clinic itself, which was funny that Mama didn't even know it was there, is like, it's literally next to the washing area, but she didn't even know it existed. She's like, you were shown the whole place, weren't you? Well, yeah, I was, but I wasn't really in a good mood back then. He always looks sad whenever I tell him about that I was sold here. Why does he look so sad? I've always kind of wondered if possibly Jinshi was involved in that actual buy, like directly into that buy. He obviously did what he needed to do back then when he found out about it, but it is like one of those aspects of like, this is this place. You realize that that's this place. You buy people that in a lot of cases weren't, you know, acquired through normal methods. But no, the whole clinic area was interesting because, again, there's a lot of things noted here, like the idea that there's a lot of middle-aged women, which, yes, in the rear palace, they're usually keeping them very young there. They want a bunch of young beauties. They don't want some old ladies. If you're like 25 years old, get the hell out. You're too old. They want young ladies in there. And so it is very rare in the rear palace to have older ladies. But she's obviously noting here, it's probably because they need people with experience. Because they can't have males, as Jinshi points out again, they cannot have males back here unless they're eunuchs. And as we find out, yes, they've pretty much banned the practice of making eunuchs. They're running out of males. Only males can be doctors, so they need a bunch of very experienced women, and they can't just kind of cycle them out for the next beauty. They have to keep these women around. So they have older ladies here, more experienced ladies here, taking care of people in this clinic. Now, this is the interesting thing because it seems like it's opening up the door to something happening here. Yes, obviously, it seems like the story's going the route that, yeah, they're finding out that Mao Mao is making medicine. And the question is going to be, is this lady going to rat out Mao Mao? Or is she going to want to use Mao Mao? That's the question mark there. It seems like this season has been ramping up this idea that there's going to be a sickness coming up. The idea of the northern side, the idea of the sewage is backing up, the smell, that they have a cat now, that often cases a lot of rodents will spread diseases from things like sewage. There's going to be there's a lot of flagging right now that there's going to be a sickness that will go around from this waste. And I think that that's going to have this lady go after Mao Mao, say, I need you to make this medicine. We need to, cure something. A lot of people are probably going to get sick here soon. That's where the route I think is going. I don't think this lady is going to rat her out. She might blackmail her. This old crafty lady might blackmail Mao Mao, but I don't think that she's going to rat her out, like, directly. So, a lot of stuff cooking right there. A lot of stuff cooking there. But yeah, I do like the kind of insights into this whole stuff, that only males could be doctors. They're trying to push some kind of change because, again, they can't have males back there and they can't make eunuchs anymore. It seems like Jinshi's going the route right here where he seems like he's trying to push some change, or the emperor might be pushing some kind of change to getting females able to make medicine. That's where I think it's going right here, or at least that's what Jinshi would probably want. They're trying to incur some kind of change. There's a lot of change happening right now. Like the whole thing with them having a school back there. They're trying to produce change here. And maybe the idea of training the women and having them schooled back there might be sort of a add-on to that. They want to produce some kind of change. And that's something they're obviously going to have to do because they can't have males back there. It's not like they're going to go, okay, well, we can't make eunuchs anymore, so let's start bringing males in there that still have their units. They can't. So they have to get these women learned. So very interesting stuff there that they're trying to produce change. And it all seems to be tied into Mao because they don't want to reveal her secret. They're using her and turning a blind eye to what she's doing. But yeah, I like that. If I made a medicine that could make their eunuch come back, I bet I could make a lot of money, girl. Girl, stop. Girl, stop. Anyways, did I cover everything? My gosh, there was so much in this episode. This episode was all over the place, cooking stuff. But yeah, I think that's pretty much everything. It's a long episode, episode 29. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of Impressions. If you did, hit the like button down below. If you like this content, you want to support John more, I have links in the description below. Greatly appreciate it. Till next time, you'll take care.